let's give some Saints fans some clarity and potentially a pound of flesh here. Does somebody lose their job over this, do you think?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, so you've got the guys that threw 15 games of the regular season and a playoff game previously to this. You have guys that performed at the highest level. And so that breaks down to one play at the end of the game where they make a bad miss. It is a bad miss. So you're going to fire them? You're going to fire two of your best because they missed a call? I don't think you do that. Now, do you take a look why, and do you maybe think about some ramifications of, of a fine of some course like that? I get worried about that because once you start fining officials for calls that they don't make, you're going to lead them into calling really ticky-tack stuff because they're going to be afraid of a fine. And so I think you have to look at the whole body of work, that a guy performs during the course of the season. And if it is bad, and if he was what they call a Tier 3 official and he made a mistake like that in a championship game, then maybe I consider it. But Tier 3 officials, the ones that have performed badly all year, don't even smell the playoffs. And so I would have a hard time looking at the overall strength of my program firing two guys who performed great over the last couple of years and especially this year. I hate to admit it, but I've seen wide open receivers drop passes and at big times I've seen defensive linemen line up off sides and then the play ends up in an interception. Do you fire him? I think that's being a little bit unreasonable.
Okay, so then let me ask you a couple more questions here. How do they miss it? I mean, walk me through what the crucible of it. I mean, how does that get missed by everybody on the field?
I can't. I look at mechanics and what we always talk about. You talk about at the snap, man zone ball on passing plays. You've got 5 eligible receivers. You've got 5 officials around the 2 in the line of scrimmage and the 3 deep. Each have an official. And so coming off the line, you go man, you have a ball. You have a man, you have a receiver that you've got to clear the line of scrimmage. And then he goes into zone. Whatever receiver comes into your zone, you take him. And then when the ball goes in the air, everybody goes ball. And to me, there were 3 officials, 2 primarily that had perfect looks of this, and they froze. I mean, I think that, this whole notion of, subconsciously, trying to make the big call. They're never told directly at all to let them play. Never. But I think once you get into the playoffs like this, teams do play a little better, and you want to stay away from the ticky-tack stuff that you may have called earlier. I don't know, but it's inexcusable. I mean, I can't offer anything to defend them in this situation. I've always felt like if it's a bang-bang play, then you're better off not calling it. This was not a bang-bang play. And this was a defender that was not playing the ball. This was a defender that went high and made contact to the head or neck area, and nothing came out of that. Nothing came out of that from any one of the 3. And they're going to live with that. Not as long as the Saints fans and the Saint players are going to have to live with it because, they'll be back on the field, of course, next year also. But I can't come up with an excuse other than they just froze.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.